Some cases were never solved. Some calls were never traced.
Every neighborhood has one house that people walk past quickly. For me, it was the place across the street. Even now, years later, I still avoid looking out my bedroom window into the pitch-black exterior of that abandoned property. Because one night, something broke the silence of that empty structure. It was the shape of a person, standing absolutely still, in the darkness, until its neck snapped to the side at a sharp, unnatural angle. The Holloway house was a neighborhood anomaly. It always felt unnaturally cold. Even in the middle of summer, the physical structure looked dark, as if the sunlight itself actively avoided touching the peeling wood. Seeing that figure stare back at me from across the street shattered the quiet security of the suburbs. It proved a simple, terrifying fact. An abandoned space is rarely an empty one. The property had belonged to Walter Holloway, an elderly recluse who never waved, never smiled, and kept his blinds tightly shut all day. Naturally, he became the subject of constant, wild rumors among the local kids. When I was 16, Mr. Holloway suffered a quiet, fatal heart attack. He left behind no heirs. There were no visitors to clear out his belongings, and no mourners attended his funeral. Following his death, the property decayed rapidly. The lawn grew wild, the paint curled off the exterior walls, and the house became a rotting, structural vacuum in the middle of our street. But then, an anomaly started appearing. Late at night, long after the neighborhood went to sleep, the upstairs hallway light would begin to flicker faintly through the broken blinds. The police had completely secured the property after his death. The electrical grid to the house had been severed and permanently disconnected years prior to these sightings. A dead grid cannot power a bulb. And yet, the upstairs hallway continued to glow after midnight, as if the house had found a new way to stay awake long after its owner had died. Curiosity eventually overpowered fear. On a freezing October night, at exactly 11 p.m., 3 of my friends and I crossed the street, pried open a broken side window, and climbed inside. The immediate smell of dense rot hit our lungs. Our flashlights swept over the first floor, illuminating heavy, antique furniture, perfectly preserved under thick white sheets. Outside, the wind had been howling, but the interior architecture was suffocatingly quiet. Even our own footsteps sounded too loud against the floorboards, creating the distinct impression that the house itself was listening to us. We slowly made our way up the main staircase, stepping carefully to minimize the noise, until we reached the second-floor landing and stopped directly outside Mr. Holloway's former master bedroom. Then, a heavy wooden door violently slammed shut. The sound echoed from the ground floor, originating directly beneath our position. The absolute silence was instantly replaced by the sound of heavy, deliberate footsteps walking across the floorboards below us. We realized in that second that we were trapped inside with an active physical threat. The footsteps reached the bottom of the staircase and began slowly creaking upward. Panic took over. We bolted down the hallway, scrambled out the broken window, and ran straight back to my bedroom across the street. Still shaking, we went to my window to look back at the abandoned house. And there it was. Hovering in the exact second-story window we had just fled from was an unnaturally tall, pitch-black figure. It began to move side to side. The motion was incredibly stiff, lacking any fluid joint articulation. It looked like an entity struggling to mimic basic human biomechanics. Without warning, the upstairs hallway light flickered on. In that split-second flash, we saw a pale, completely stretched face bearing an impossibly wide smile before the bulb popped, plunging the room back into total darkness. As we watched, the shadow began its retreat. It didn't step back. It simply glided deeper into the shadows of the long hallway, smoothly sliding away without its legs ever moving. The elongated arms, the stiff neck, and that frictionless gliding retreat, nothing about it moved with the weight or rhythm of a person. Whatever was in that house didn't need to walk to get where it was going. Tyler grabbed the phone and called the police. Within 15 minutes, officers arrived and executed an aggressive room-by-room sweep of the entire property with heavy flashlights. They found absolutely nothing. There were no signs of forced entry, other than our own window, No vagrants, and strangely, no recent footprints in the thick dust coating the second floor. The next morning, we crossed the street in broad daylight to see for ourselves. We climbed back up to the second-story hallway to look at the undisturbed layer of dirt the police had mentioned. This floor plan shows our discovery. From the bedroom doorway straight to the window, the thick dust was cleanly wiped away. We found no alternating footprints. Instead, it was a wide, continuous drag mark, as if something heavy had been slowly pulled across the floorboards. That single, unbroken path in the dust was the exact same length as the hallway. It was the physical signature of the silhouette's retreat, a silent confirmation that what we had seen through the window hadn't just been a trick of the light. A few days later, an older neighbor filled in the missing pieces of Walter Holloway's final years. He explained how the old man had suffered a severe, isolated descent into complete paranoia. Holloway was entirely convinced that a whispering, scratching presence lived inside his walls. Every night after midnight, he claimed this presence would physically manifest in the hallway outside his bedroom door. The most disturbing detail was Holloway's final warning to that neighbor. He stated clearly that looking at the hallway entity for too long causes it to permanently attach its attention to the observer. Months went by, and life mostly returned to normal. But one night, I woke up sharply at 3 a.m. Looking out my window, across the street, the black silhouette was standing there again. This time, it slowly raised one elongated arm and waved. The city eventually condemned the Holloway house. It was completely demolished, the debris hauled away, leaving nothing but an empty patch of dirt. Late at night, if you look into that empty lot, a pitch-black silhouette slowly materializes, hovering exactly where that second-story window used to be. The demolition revealed something far more persistent than a haunted house. The structure was gone, but the attention remained. It wasn't living in the walls of the Holloway house. It was living in the memories of those who stopped to look.